Are you ready?
Starting now?
Oh, now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
You know, but
You're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And once again, if everyone's been paying attention, guess who it is tonight? Just the two of us.
That's right.
Yeah, you're stuck with us again. Yeah, and maybe that's why our episode didn't play that well last week. They're like, just these two motherfuckers.
Really?
Well, I mean, we've had, I posted something on there today. We had like 65 plays so far from last week as of today, which is, it's a little slow. But I mean, again, it's nicer weather. People are starting to get busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Same exact thing happened last year. So I actually took a picture of it, then crossed out the 65. I wrote in 69 in red, and I said just 4 more people listen, then stop.
Right.
It's starting slow anyhow, so we might as well stop on a good number, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the funny thing is, and we've talked about this before, but remember when I said like a lot of times on these holiday weekends, it's like the Friday leading up to it and getting out of work, and it's just it's those feelings and that memory of what basically what I used to do years ago.
Right.
You figure, and we really didn't get done with work that early, but I thought we might get done early, and then you start getting, and again, these old feelings of, it used to be get done with work, whatever time it was, and then you got the whole weekend to get fucked up and I can do whatever. And it's weird. I mean, it's just a normal Friday, it doesn't, there's nothing different, but it's like every single holiday weekend, literally, it's those old feelings that come back, which is weird.
Yeah.
Never want to drink. I'm not saying I wanted to drink or anything like that, but you know what I mean. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah. I was like, cool. I got off a little bit early and came home and cleaned up my yard because it needed it. And, I'm looking forward to hanging out this weekend and, barbecuing and playing poker and being with friends, and it's all the same shit, just no booze involved.
Right. Well, and that was literally what I thought of. I'm like, it's not like we're going to be ripping it up this weekend, but without booze.
Yep.
So yeah, and I don't know if we even mentioned that I was coming out. So yeah, I'm going to be in Cleveland this weekend, heading out tomorrow. Tomorrow early afternoon or whatever at some point tomorrow, and then all our sober buddies are getting together, the people that we play poker with, and yeah, exactly what Mike said. We're having a cookout and poker and just hanging out with people. So it was kind of when did you ask me about that? A couple weeks ago, I think. And
yeah, right.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, I mean, I don't have anything to do, and it's funny though, is because what was it? 2 weeks ago was Kylie's graduation. Then I was up in Wisconsin for Katie's thing. Last weekend I was up in Appleton babysitting. This weekend I'm in Cleveland. Next weekend, nothing. Weekend after that, Founders Day. Weekend after that, Father's Day. So I'll be up in Wisconsin. Weekend after that is the 24th. We're doing we're all getting together at me and then Kimmy and Derek and stuff. We're all getting together at Dawn's house. We're trying to find a time for all of us just to, because we did that a couple years ago, just hung out there and, basically did nothing. So that's the 24th. I think the weekend after that, I don't know if anything going on. Foo Fighters is the 15th, and
Right.
then we and this is a long story. I won't go into it now, but I found a place. It's actually Katie's mom and her stepdad have a place in Beaver Dam that
Mm-hmm.
the following week we're all gonna get together. I've been looking for a place to rent like that on a lake with the kids for
Right.
years, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. I'm actually gonna stay. I was looking for a place like found a place like up towards Green Bay, and I was just going to
Mm-hmm.
do it for a week, kind of get away and do whatever,
Right.
and then figured wrap it around a weekend, so that's all set. So that's that week after that, and then shit that's the end of July,
Right.
you know, and I'm like, fuck, man, but I mean, we got a lot of cool shit coming up, which
Absolutely.
just what will we do when we quit drinking, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You know, same shit, man. Just again, like I said, just take the booze out of it, take the dope
Right.
out, and actually, get to enjoy it and remember it, and have a couple of dollars in your pocket when you're done, and yeah, and not make
Right.
everybody miserable around you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. It's like the quick trips back and forth. Even going because I think Father's Day. I believe we may actually go up to Appleton, so that'll be
Hmm.
just an up and back on Father's Day. Which again, it's not like I haven't done it. I did it before. It's not a big deal.
Right.
And again, I'm not drinking, so
Yeah.
it turns into a lot. It's a long drive for a relatively short amount of time, but that
Mm-hmm.
short amount of time is worth all of it. You know.
Absolutely.
So, oh, real quick, Kimmy said to say hi. I was
All right. Hi,
texting with
Kimmy.
her, and yeah, she sent a picture of Ollie. He was climbing up on his picnic table in the
Mm-hmm.
backyard. So she sent a picture of that. He's all over the place. I don't know if I told you that.
Yep.
Well, I haven't talked to you since last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He never stops. He's constant motion,
Yep.
which is again, it's fine, but huge difference from even whatever it was a few weeks prior to that when I saw
Right.
him. I mean, he's just constant motion. Plus, if he tries to go someplace,
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in the house, something he shouldn't, and you try to, I turn him
Mm-hmm.
around and point him in the other direction. He doesn't like that,
Of
and
course
he
not.
and he lets you know. And I told Kimmy
Mm-hmm.
about that. And she's like, "Oh yeah, he's got a little bit of stuff." And I'm like, "Yeah," because I'm sitting there telling him like, "No, you can't do that." I'm like, "It's okay, go this way." And then something else distracts him, and he's fine. He's a good kid. I mean, he's at that time he's mobile and he's
Right.
testing shit out. But
Exactly. Yeah.
again,
Testing
the
those
the
boundaries.
yeah, and I mean all of it. The back and the forth. I would drive halfway across the country to have spend 20
Mm-hmm.
minutes with him. So it's all good
Right.
stuff.
Absolutely.
So cool. So I think, at least I'm hoping you have a reading, right?
I do, as a matter of fact.
Cool. I've got
Uh-huh.
I've got plenty of stuff after that too. We got a
Yeah.
couple of things from followers. One I think you're going to get a huge kick out of. So
Cool.
we have
Yeah.
stuff.
I got a couple things too. So what the hell, man?
Look at that,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I know.
I gotta write this down. Wait, Mike came prepared with
Well, don't.
something.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. No.
All
I
right,
just,
all right,
just had a couple of things this week that I thought we'd talk about. But anyway, let's do this
awesome.
reading thing first.
All right.
From God Grant Me, as usual. It's June 24th. Let's see here. We recovered alcoholics are not so much brothers in virtue as we are brothers in our defects and in our common striving to overcome them. Some guy named Bill Wilson. Our primary purpose in recovery is to help each other and those who will come after us. What an interesting task for self-centered people. By helping each other overcome defects of character, we forget about ourselves, and the voice of our ego grows less intense. The fellowship of recovery works to break down self-centeredness and to remind us that we cannot do it alone. We must never forget that it is in the we of the program that we find relief from the me of addiction. It is in the we that we find the answers to the troubles and challenges life will give us. Loving relationships ask that we step outside of ourselves into a larger world. Do we believe more in the we of recovery or in the me of ego? Prayer for the day. Higher power, help me overcome my defects of character by guiding me deeper into the we of recovery. Today's actions, because this is a program of action. Today, I will call my sponsor and talk to him or her about how I can be of better service to others.
Nice. So I wrote down 3 things: brothers in defects, can't do it alone,
right?
And then the we of the program. Which, I mean, how many times do we say that, and how many times has it been said to us? And I like the brothers in defects. I don't. Well, again, I was going to say I don't know that I've heard that before, but that's a flat out fucking lie, because I've read that.
Right. Several times.
10, probably.
Right.
10 times. I've never heard that before. Of course you have, you dumbass. Right. But no, I mean, I like that. And what I've been doing when you do the readings like that, first of all, I mute it, so you just obviously get get time to do that. But I usually flip over these sheets that I have and just kind of, again, and I've said this before, I really sometimes I need to look at something like a blank sheet of paper in order to focus on it. But then I make little notes on there, because if I didn't, it'd be just like me doing my reading in the morning. When you got done with it, I would forget everything that you said, which is stupid, but just happens to be true. So
yeah. And I think it's important that we have to remember, because again, the ego will get in the way. We are not brothers in virtue. We are brothers in defect. Yeah, right. Because we'll sit there and go, oh yeah, look at me, I'm doing all this great stuff, I'm fucking wonderful. No, I'm a piece of shit. I'm just not acting like it anymore.
Right. Well, and that's the one thing I didn't write down was because it said the we of the program, or the me of ego. And I didn't, as soon as you said that again, see, I almost forgot that, but I just wrote that down. I don't have an ego.
Right. That's why it takes 2 of us.
Right. Well, and Marty's the one that said to us from the start was always said that, I get drunk, we get sober, or we stay sober, so I mean, clearly that's something that, I mean, not only did we hear in the Keating Center, but meetings, and clearly, obviously in these readings. So, I mean, it is. And I was listening to a couple of different podcasts, and Sober Friends, Matt, that's going to be on with us next week. I'm still popping through their podcasts, and again, I mean, a lot of what their background is AA based, so they talk a lot about stuff like that. So, and again, working with another alcoholic, the meeting after the meeting before the meeting, all these different things. So, I think that all these different things that popped in again, just popped up in a couple of the episodes I was listening to today, where they were talking about that, of working together, with people. Right. So apparently it's a thing,
It is.
So, real quick, and kind of a side note on that, I was going to mention it tomorrow, but fuck it, since I brought it up. So, Matt had actually messaged me today and was asking timing and stuff again, because Matt from another podcast, Sober Friends podcast, is our guest next week, and he had checking on timing again. So I kind of gave him all the rundown of everything again, got his email address, which I forgot that I already had, because that's how he got in touch with us, I mean, to begin with. But I mean, that was, I mean, shit, that was a couple months ago now, but
sure.
But I had this thought, and I told him I was going to run it by you. I mean, he's all for it if you are. I said that, so he's got his or their podcast where, just like us, I mean, not only has he told his own story, but they talks about his own story like we do endlessly, so do we, So what my thought was is maybe have him start out with, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of a brief background. And then he's kind of he's a big proponent of being like a topic guy. He'll bring something to the podcast that they'll talk about it. So I told him, I said, if you're up for that, I said, bring a topic. And I said, we'll bring a couple of topics. And I said, we'll talk about a little bit about his deal, but then, why don't we talk with all the years of sobriety we have combined? Let's talk about the sober end of it. And he's like, he goes, if you guys are up for it, he goes, as he put it, he goes, let's celebrate sobriety, or the sober part of it.
No way, man. I don't want to fucking do that at all. I want to listen about him drinking.
Right. But I mean, I didn't think I was kind of speaking for you, but
Uh-huh.
I figured I'd bring it up, but I thought it'd be good because
Yeah,
again, he's got
absolutely.
and he's nine, God, probably, I think nine and a half. He's 9+ years, so
Okay.
he's got some decent time, same type of background as we have,
Mm-hmm.
some similar circumstances, so yeah, I think it'd be cool. So,
Absolutely.
all right,
Cool.
cool.
Yep.
So, anything else on the reading? I mean, I like it. Obviously, the we part of it, everything about it, I
Mm-hmm.
like. So, I mean, I no
Right.
no complaints, no complaints on my end.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, just which and I was flipping around because again, nothing really jumped out at me this week, and so I was flipping through the book, looking at my dog ears and seeing what was up, and kind of one of the reasons it jumped out at me is and here's one of the things I'm bringing. Went to a funeral on Tuesday.
Mm,
Yeah, it was a friend of my daughter's. This girl Allison, woman. I got to remember my kid's almost 40, and she was 40. Um, and she was an acquaintance of mine. I knew her. I've known her for over 10 years. And she was we have a lot of mutual friends too in Cleveland, not necessarily like my normal friends. Um, and she was a rock and roll girl, and everybody knew her, and she always had a drink in her hand. I'm not going to say she was an alcoholic because I can't do that. I can only say that I'm an alcoholic, but she was starting to have some stomach issues and health issues, and she decided maybe it was a good thing to dry out. Maybe not permanently, maybe not whatever, but so she went to a friend's house out in the country and um, quit drinking. And the guy went to work and he came home and she was dead. So, uh, if you're out there and you're still drinking and you're thinking about stopping, again, don't do it on your own. Um, if you guys have listened to us, I certainly had my share of experiences with other drugs, and everybody, the big thing is, kicking heroin, right? Yeah, you're gonna fucking feel like you're gonna die. You're gonna feel like you want to die, but you're not gonna die. You're just gonna get real sick.
right.
If you're drinking like we were drinking and you stop, there's a very good chance you're gonna fucking die because your body can't handle it. That's just the way it is. Alcohol is a very dangerous drug. And she did, 40-year-old woman. She did. She stopped and she went cold turkey. And within a couple of days of doing that, she was dead. So, yeah, that was tough. I went to the service with my daughter. Actually, tomorrow night they're having a memorial for her at the Beachland Ballroom. It's a club here in Cleveland. I'm sure that one's going to be pretty packed and pretty rowdy, and I'm not going to that one
Right.
because I don't need to. But yeah, it's serious shit, man. So I had posted on Facebook when I heard a couple, day or so after she passed, picture of her and I out at a concert. And, we had seen each other and she came running over and said hi to me and, blah, 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 blah. Sam's dad, yeah, hey, what's up? And, yeah, just fucking goddamn shame, and I ended up, on her Facebook page, I kind of looked and I read some of her posts leading up to it because I was just, kind of curious because I'm curious about that sort of thing.
Right.
And, I was seeing stuff, man, she was articulating thoughts that I had towards the end. of my drinking, just but not, I'd been around AA, so I kind of knew it. I don't think she had. And just I'm reading this stuff and I'm remembering the desperation and I got to stop doing this, but I don't know how. And if only this would happen and this would happen and this would happen, things would be better. And we know that's bullshit.
Right.
It was just so that was my Tuesday. Went and said goodbye to a very nice young lady that shouldn't have shouldn't have gone it alone, man. Should have gotten some help in doing what she was trying to do. So, again, it kind of goes with the reading. We can't do this by ourselves. And it was just a very in your face lesson in that this week.
Well, and I saw your post and I saw Amber's post, and
Right.
and I figured that at some point, I mean, I knew we were getting together this weekend that I, asked more questions, but I certainly didn't want to poke at it when after it just happened. But I I wasn't sure that that's what happened, that she was trying, and then that's what happened, because I saw Amber had posted something about, if you need help, reach out, don't do it alone, and I'm like, God, was she? And I figured, again, it's not my place right now to, at that point to pick at it, but you know what, and the thing of it is, and you and I have talked about this on here, it's probably in the early episodes, with all the stuff that I thought I knew, from, again, my dad and all that sort of stuff. I don't ever remember hearing about people, just quitting cold turkey like that and dying. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't, and I don't remember if they brought it up in detox, or if the doctor brought it up when I was getting released. I know for a fact it was talked about once I got to the Keating Center and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was, seriously, I was just like, damn, really? And I mean, part of it was like, fuck, I mean, I say this somewhat jokingly, but I'm glad I never had that, that desire to just try it on my own, because I didn't know any better.
Right.
I literally didn't know any better. But yeah, just when, I mean, it's a tragedy, and like to have to see those sort of things and know that, hopefully somebody hears that and realizes that, hey, just all it is, anyone, doesn't even have to be somebody in the sober community,
Right.
And I mean, that's probably what that even goes back to, what a lot of people talk about. Maybe that's where that harm reduction comes in, when we were talking about with Ashley, and I've read a ton about it. People tapering off, like the individual I was telling you about that I know that did that, tapered off, and so that individual wouldn't do that,
Right. Right. Well, I mean, Katie posted an article from Jack Mulhall, clearly when he was still alive. It was in the Plain Dealer, the paper here in Cleveland. And when Jack was alive, and when Jack was working at Stella's, which was a detox and all that, there was a bar across the street, and they'd send guys over there. Look, go get a drink, man. Because there's nothing we can. You got to taper off. They would send guys across the street to go get a couple of pops so they wouldn't fucking die.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and it's and here's the peculiar part, the fact that I didn't know this. I mean, I heard that once we got the Keating Center and heard all these stories about Jack, and Phyllis talked about that that bar quite a bit. I'm nearly positive my dad mentioned that before too.
Sure.
Because that's, I mean, he got sober at Stella. But then again, now thinking back, when you said that, I remember. But now I can't place it. I can't remember if it was stories from after we got sober or stories from him about, a lot of people would do that, pick up a guy and, or a woman, whatever it is, an individual, to take them wherever. And, first thing they did, go on a 12-step call, they bring along a bottle just in case,
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that was standard,
Yeah, it was. Yeah, in the beginning, absolutely. Yeah, Dr. Bob would bring guys into the house and stuff, and yeah, he had booze in there, You know, he was sober, but he had it there to make sure that they didn't fucking die.
Right. Yeah, well, I mean, it is. God, I can only, again, I for her family, for her friends, for
Mm-hmm.
anyone like that. Again, it's even the God. I can't even imagine the dude that was whoever wherever she was. I mean
Right.
that in itself that has to be just
Mm-hmm.
crazy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
not that individual's fault, but
No, of course not.
I mean at all. But I mean that's just got to be shit. The weight that individual must be feeling. That's fucking terrible.
Yep. Yep, it is. But remember, kids, we're not hurting anybody but ourselves.
Right. Well, and you know what? In going back and once again, all these things we've talked about, but when for anyone who hasn't listened to whatever episode it was probably in the first 10
Mm-hmm.
that we put out, but Marty used to take us to, and we were what 30 days sober, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even the first couple of weeks. If
Sure.
and the unfortunate part is Marty knew a lot of people,
Right.
and the unfortunate part is that a lot of those people would overdose, drink themselves to death, whatever the deal was.
Mm-hmm.
And when we first got to the Keating Center, and I remember being loaded up, and we went out to a funeral home. We were taken out to one like out towards by South Detroit, all the way out, kind of where Johnny used to live in North
Mm-hmm.
Olmsted area.
Right.
And again, just a fucking van full of guys who took out there, and I'm like, what the fuck are
Mm-hmm.
we doing going there?
Right.
But he did it on purpose because we walked into this funeral home, and I mean the family. Oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
just the devastation from that these family members were going through. We didn't know the person,
No.
but that wasn't the point. He was
Mm-hmm.
showing us that for a reason. Look at
Mm-hmm.
what happens,
Yeah.
and like you said, I mean, yeah, you could be what's your favorite thing to say? 100 miles away in a hotel room, whatever the case is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. 100 miles away in a hotel room, nobody around me, nobody that I know, and I'm still hurting people.
Right. Yeah,
Yep.
and the beautiful part now is that what we get to do now on the other side of it, is the ripples that we were talking about with, and again, that might have been Ashley that we were talking about that with,
Mm-hmm.
those
Yeah.
those negative ripples that you send out.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're doing it in a positive way.
Right.
When we cause waves, thankfully, hopefully, if we're doing all the right things, or most of them,
Right.
that
Mm-hmm.
those waves are going out in a positive direction. So,
Mm-hmm. And
but
speaking
yeah,
of positive,
yes.
the second thing this week, so that was Tuesday. So Wednesday, I'm out working. I had a live unload out someplace. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and my phone pops off, and it was Cameron. Hi, Cameron. And he had sent a link. He had been down in Knoxville, Tennessee for 6 weeks. He's in the Air Force. It's my girlfriend's son, one of his sons, one of her sons.
I was going
Pronoun
to say, wait a
pronoun
second.
trouble.
That's a Looney Tunes cartoon.
It
Pronoun
is.
trouble.
Yes, it is. Anyway, yeah. So he had sent a link. He'd been down there for NCO training. He's a master sergeant or tech sergeant in the Air Force. Anyway, he was down there for NCO training for 6 weeks, and he had his graduation. So I got to sit in the truck and watch his graduation.
Oh no shit.
On Wednesday morning. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was very cool. But the cool thing was the one of the chiefs, some muckety muck dude, was giving basically the commencement speech, for lack of a better term, and he was talking about okay, so now you guys have done this training, and now you're going to go back into your whatever division, blah blah blah, all the terms I don't have down, but you're going to go back into your job, and you're going to be helping people. And he used the term positive echo, which I'm sitting there going, well, fuck, we just talked about this last Friday.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. So it was cool. It was, you're going to go and you're going to affect other people in a positive way, and it's going to echo, and it's going to continue to echo, and it's going to make their lives better, and then they'll make somebody else's life better, and blah 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 blah. It was just it was all very cool. So yeah. So congratulations, Cameron. because I know he listens to this, and it was very cool to get to sit there and watch you do that.
Yeah, congratulations. That's really cool. Oh, and he had sent me a message. He had liked one of our readings, or one of the readings that I posted, and he sent a message and said, "Hey, where do you get these?" He said, he shares them. Said he shares them every morning. And the funniest
Yeah.
part was it didn't click who it was right away. And then I popped into, because it's not his name, it's something else in his Instagram profile. And I
Okay.
popped in and I saw who it was. I'm like, oh fuck, that's Cameron. But but he was like, he goes, yeah. He goes, where do you get them? I said, oh, because my first answer was kind of like more of the canned answer. I'm like, oh yeah, they're in, they're from the books that we read are actually all in there. And I said, I think I mentioned that I put on the post every day what book it's from, whether it's a day at a time or keep it simple or whatever the deal, or God grant me.
Right.
But then I saw him like, well, that's kind of cool. So yeah, he looks forward to those the post every morning,
Nice.
Which yeah, and once again, I mean, I've been doing that, not on Instagram, but man, I did that. I was doing that for years, because I started doing that again, the whole sober grid thing. Whenever I got involved in that, and then you figure Instagram it's probably been, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years, something like that. It's been a while, and that's what now I've gotten in a pattern on Instagram where that's the everything. And sometimes, again, I don't find one like you just said, and you say it when you do look at these readings. If I don't find one from that day that jumps out, I got fucking probably hundreds of them on my phone, and every once in a while Google Photos comes in and it's like, oh, time to archive these 40 different pictures, and it cleans some stuff up. But still, I mean, I go back sometimes as this spin and I'm back to 2019 and I find one, I'm like, oh, I like that one.
Right. Yeah.
But it just it made me feel good, because I'm like, I know people, we get reactions from them, people like them and stuff like that. But I also know when it comes to social media that sometimes it's somebody that you follow, just Facebook and any other thing like that too. It's just they posted something, let's throw a like at them, even if I didn't have time to really read it. But it was just it was nice, and then I on top of it, knowing it was him, so it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, you're saying you share this stuff and you don't keep it all to yourself.
I think I'm giving it away to try to keep it. I think that's I think, I'm not sure, but I think.
Right.
But yeah, and you know what? What's funny, now that you say that, I know you're messing around a little bit, but I don't remember. Well, maybe thinking back to all the, and again, I recycle these motivational quotes that I did from 12 years ago that come up now as Facebook memories. Those I did for me, and I wasn't posting those as recovery things, but every one of them, if you, well, and I know you saw them years ago and you see them now, but every one of them has something to do with recovery, in my mind,
Right.
But I did that for myself because that kept me, I realize now that kept me focused on something,
something positive.
Right.
Yeah.
And I wasn't,
man.
right. And I certainly wasn't doing it for people on Facebook because nobody knew that I was sober. But now, I guess, now it's just a matter of, again, it's a habit that, and, I do it for myself, but I do realize that people read them, but I don't know. Sometimes you don't realize that people get something out of it until they actually say some shit,
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's all good stuff. I mean, not the funeral part, but, well, I mean, it's one of those things where, I don't know, like we always say, I mean, there's lessons to that. Hopefully nothing that, that we ever have to, learn specifically, but we're not above it. It's a yet,
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
But on top of that, if nothing else, I hope that, one person who hopefully listened to this, hopefully it makes sense to either that it clicks with them or that's, somebody they know. And I'm not saying we're saving lives out here. I don't mean to put it that way, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't, as soon as I started saying that, I'm like, fuck, I don't mean it that way.
Right. But no, just, knowledge is power, man.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yes. Right. And that's the thing. I mean, at the service, there were people talking, like, I heard some family members and stuff of hers, like, going, I didn't know this was a thing. I didn't know. Yeah, well, yeah, now you do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if nothing else, that is a good thing. I just the knowledge is power. Maybe that's the best way to put it. But,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So whoever had tuned in for this first half hour is looking for us talking a bunch of shit. Well, we
Mm-hmm.
actually we talked about a deep subject, and I'm glad we did because that I mean, that's one of the biggest things that we always talk about. We fuck around a lot,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but
But
when it comes down to it, this things like that take precedence over a fucking dick joke.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, it just Danny, right? My friend at Puritas.
right,
Well,
no
yeah,
games.
yeah, right. That's just it. Exactly it. Danny's a special guy, and yes, when it's time for comments, Danny stands up and says, "There's no games in these rooms. It's life and death in these rooms. No games," and then sits down.
Right.
And, and that's it, man. And the guy's got like 35 years sober. So
Does he really?
yeah.
See, I knew he'd
Oh
been
yeah,
around for a long time, but I didn't know how
yeah,
long.
yeah.
Well,
Long time.
and I remember going to first time we ever went to West Park Men's, and well, every time
Mm-hmm.
we went to West Park Men's, and I'm
Right.
like, who's this motherfucker saying this stuff every goddamn week? And then obviously I met
Right.
him years later, but
Mm-hmm.
and I remember by the time that I led there, which I don't know, probably a couple years sober, maybe it was right
Mm-hmm.
before I moved back to Wisconsin, but I think I knew him, or at least had met him at that point, so
Right.
it kind of made me laugh because I knew it was coming, but
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
it's just to begin with. I mean, seriously, to have in this, he's not quiet about it. He's not like, pardon me,
Oh no.
everyone.
No. Oh no. Danny's a lot of things, but he is not quiet.
Right. So yeah, he makes his voice heard. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's we've got to anyone that's in this thing that we do is you got to know
Mm-hmm.
when to be serious and when to get some serious information out there. And I think we had an opportunity
Exactly.
to do that. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That part of it, again, I keep saying cool. That's not cool, but
Yeah.
the information part.
Right. Like we were taught early on, man, there's no bad examples. There's lessons in everything, if we're looking for it. So yeah, even in tragedy,
Right.
unfortunately.
Exactly. Well,
Yep.
why don't we? I mean, I think
Yep.
we're at a good point to take a break. So why don't we take a quick break and we'll get back to some other stuff. How's that?
Right. All right. It sounds like a plan. Well, you stay tuned. We're going to be back with more snarkiness and hilarity right after these words from our sponsor.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi
and,
there.
yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.SoberNotMature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.SoberNotMatureShop.com. So but from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
Well, there's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.SoberNotMatureShop.com.
.com.
.com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.SoberNotMature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, welcome back. And I got nothing fucking smart to say, because we just came out of this, which is fine. I mean, I'm not at a loss for words, but the thing of it is I don't want to diminish, the person we talked about in the situation. Mm-hmm. So. But I mean, personally, I think it's wonderful that you brought it up, and it's a horrible situation, but a conversation that needs to be had. And I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to share the information. That's probably the best way for me to put it. So,
right. So, yeah, exactly. And you were talking about your first lead at West Park. My Facebook memories today, we were talking about it last week. My first ever lead was 12 years ago today.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. So how in the fuck did I end up leading after you? Or before? No, before you. Because it was, mine was the 19th. Yeah, before you.
You got 4 days. What a fucking dumb question. You know the answer to that.
No, because you got your you did your, I think you did your, as we were talking about, you got your fifth step done, before me and all that stuff. But either way, it's kind of funny. The other thing that I thought about and I just reminded me again when you were talking about that. So let's just say I was supposed to go to get my or do my fifth on like a Tuesday, and I showed up at the Keating Center meeting on that Thursday. So at this point, I should have had it done, but again, I got kicked off for another week. And then you remember Bob at the Keating Center, one of the guys that was running not running, but Marty's assistant.
Yeah, right.
So he comes up and he's like, "Oh, our lead didn't show up." He goes, "Or can you lead for me?" And I said, I was literally supposed to get my fifth step done, 2 days ago, but I said it got kicked off.
Right.
And he's like. And I'm like, he's like, you can't do it. I'm like, the answer to that. And he's like, is your sponsor here? Can you ask him if you could do it? I'm like, I'm like, and it made me really fucking nervous, because he was trying to push me to do this lead, And I'm like, no, man. I'm like, I'd love to, but I can't.
Right.
And there was 1 or 2 other times that I was asked to lead on the spot, which is fine. I didn't mind doing it, but no, it's like driving a car without a license, man. I wasn't given that license yet, brother.
Yep, exactly. Haven't gone through the steps. Haven't paid my insurance yet.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Out there, I can't go drive that podium without insurance. What the fuck, man?
Right, because I might fucking make a left turn and wreck it.
Right. Fall off the stage.
Yeah.
Sober. Fall off the stage. Yep. I got at some point. I've got a concert story on here that I got to tell you about, but now's not the time. It'll be when we got nothing else to talk about. So, all right. So 2 different people that 2 followers of ours gave us some comments. So I wanted to share that with you. One I actually have. Then I'll have to see if I can. It's a video that she sent, but I'll get into that one second. So I'm gonna try to play that through my microphone. We'll see how that works. But the first one was actually from there. Well, there's a person I went to high school with, and I didn't know she was sober until maybe a little over a year ago. I was still in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And, I've been friends with her on Facebook forever. We weren't like super close friends in high school, but again, I told you, I don't keep in touch with anyone. And the majority of my people I went to high school with, I mean, people still booze it up and this and that, whether they got problems. I don't fucking know, but I keep in touch with no one except for her, probably one other one. But so anyhow, she's sober and this and that. And plus, she's a customer. She's not only follows us on Instagram, but I told her we were on Instagram. I told her we have the podcast, and then we have the store. So she buys our coffee, So she had just ordered another thing of coffee, I think on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then, so we're talking back and forth about it. I thanked her, for ordering it. And then basically she was talking about, she goes, well, thank you for providing such good coffee and whatever. And so she likes it. She gets the caramel stuff, but she was talking about the little gifts that she does for herself And basically little things matter and all that stuff. And then she said, she goes, I actually just had 1,200 days in my recovery on Saturday, so this past Saturday. And she said, this I thought was really nice. She says, buying your coffee is now a gift to my recovery.
Nice.
And I only laugh because I'm like, oh, that's pretty nice, man. But I'm like, that's cool. She's like, no. She goes, I really like it. And basically she didn't say it, but our coffee is more expensive than than what you can get in the store. But I mean, like the Colombia stuff that I get, and the Mexico stuff that we had gotten at your house for Chris. And I've had a lot of different coffee from different places. It's really fucking good. The Colombia, I mean, seriously, I fucking love it. And I buy it too, so I mean, I wouldn't, if it wasn't good, two things. I wouldn't buy it, and I'd be like, I probably can't sell this shit either, so.
God damn it, we have integrity today.
I know. And I'm like, I was so hoping that is everyone that I've tried has been good. The only one that I'm not a huge fan of is the one that's cinnamon hazelnut, only because I'm not a huge fan of cinnamon. So it's just got too much of that flavor to it, but it's really good. It's got a great flavor to it, but just I'm not a cinnamon person, So So that was that one, which I just thought that was just super nice.
That was very nice.
And then we got the review, which I posted on Instagram, which you should have seen on Facebook too. I don't have that in front of me, but yeah, if you want to take a look, we just got a new review from a follower that listens to us, and she said basically, we know what we're talking about, and we got our shit together, and just said really, really nice. I know, but she just said really nice stuff. And just, it's helped her along. She's new. I know for a fact that she has struggled because she had messaged me a couple of times. So I know that she's gone through, her ups and downs, but she says listening to us and, I gave her a couple of bits and pieces of advice and she said it helped. And I'm like, okay, cool. Who am I to say? Right. So then the other one, so you remember the person who had thought that you were on the other podcast, the workout podcast, all that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I forgot what name we use because I said I hadn't really asked if I could use her name, and so she sent a message. She said she goes talking about this link that I'm going to try to play, and she's like, you gotta play this for Mike, or she said share it with Mike, and I'm like, I think I'm going to try to play it, but she said that she goes, oh, by the way, you can use my real name. She's like, I don't really feel much like a Mary. I forgot that we called her Mary, and I forgot what name we had called her, but so her name is spelled Jovana. I think Giovanna is her name.
Okay.
So yeah, she said it was perfectly fine for us to use it, but this clip, it's from a TV show. It's a Netflix TV show, and we're gonna see if this will play. I'm just gonna play it right into my microphone and see if it comes up. Hang on one moment. Hang on here.
Shut all the way the fuck up.
Now I got to start it over. God damn it. Hang on.
Get it a little closer because I can barely hear it.
No, I know. Let's try again. Ready?
Yep.
All right. Hold on.
Shut the fuck up. Shut all the way the fuck up until you reach the top of Shut Fuck Mountain where there are no more fuck ups to shut. Shut.
Could you hear it?
Shut all the way the
Yes, I did. She sounds like fun.
Yeah. So this was it's a TV show on Netflix called Grace and Frankie and Grace.
Oh yeah. It's the Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda show.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I'm aware of it.
So, and I watched it. I don't know, the first season or two, and it was...
So that was Lily Tomlin, right?
No, it was a completely different character.
Oh,
nope.
Okay.
It was a different character, and I didn't get to whatever season that was. I must not have watched it. But it was like the wife of... she was talking to her husband who was like going to get up and walk up away from the table. But yeah, so this Giovanna, had saw it. And she's like, yeah, you got to share this with Mike. So I just thought, I mean, again, things like that people are, people tell us to fuck off in our posts. People share these things with us.
Very cool.
I know. It just
we're
cracks me up.
fucking trendsetters.
I know. Yeah, you should check on Twitter and see if already this shit is trending anywhere. Fuck off and keep fucking off.
Hashtag fuck off.
I'm sure that probably is a hashtag for all we know, right? But no, I thought it was number one that the first comment from from my friend from high school. I mean, I thought that was nice, but I thought this one that one was just, and I'm thinking about. I was going to send it to you, and I'm like, no, let me try to. I'd rather play it. I'd rather play it on here.
Yeah,
I think it'd be a lot more fun.
Cool.
So yeah, and I wasn't like when I first opened up the link and it started playing right away. I'm like, fuck. So that's why the second time I just held it right up to the microphone, and then I'm like, can I see where to hit it? So anyhow, but yeah, I thought you would enjoy that. So
I do. And apparently the dogs enjoyed it too.
Yeah. Well, so here's what's funny is, and I'm surprised. Maybe she had to. I don't know if she had to run someplace else, but so shortly before I had texted you the first time, probably 10 minutes before we 15 minutes, whatever, before we started recording, Kathy's like, oh, I'm heading up to get my pizza. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I said, you should be back just in time for the dogs to appear on the podcast again. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no. I said, it's become part of our thing. And I'm like, there was this, and I told her there was this guy a week or so ago, I think when I posted one of the clips or when I said an episode was coming, whatever it was, he's like, so how many dogs were there in this week's episode? And I'm like, just the 3. And he's like, what's the biggest number of dogs that you've had there? I'm like, well, it was 6, but that was after we recorded. But I told Kathy, I'm like, it's a thing now. I said, people actually, I think, listen for it. So it's been,
been kind of fun. And then when Melissa was on, we had Hercules. So yeah, we're definitely dog friendly.
I just thought he was the best dude, just all, and she's just like, get away from me. Get away from me. And she's muting and screaming and all that stuff. So,
Yep.
All right. So, that was good. All right. So there was something that I had written down here from Keep It Simple. And let me see what I wrote here. This was the action. It says, make a list of things that make me special. And I put in parentheses, I said, bring this up because it will drive Mike nuts to try to think of something.
Right.
And I wanted to read exactly what was in the parentheses and exactly why I wrote it down. But so in here's the thing, in the serious side of things, if there was one thing that in sobriety that any things that maybe make you special or you feel as one of the, I don't know. And I hadn't thought about it myself, but I figured it'd be an interesting one because it was part of one of our readings. So.
Right. You know what? I think that was from this week, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I believe I remember reading that one and going, well, this is all fucked up because none of us are special.
Right.
Right. We are not unique. We are not special. We are not. Yeah. We are garden variety drunks, man. Pretty much, we're all the same. Again, back to reading some of those posts. And recognizing myself in them. We're not different, man. We're terminally. We think we're different.
Right.
We want to be different, but we're not. We're all the same. I mean, people look at the picture of us and go, those guys look different. We're not, though. Yeah, we look a little different on the outside, but, we're not. We're exactly the same. That's why the solution is the same for all of us. Again, people are trying to dilute it and people are trying to do this and this and that. And you don't have to do this. And nah, man, if you're a fucking alcoholic, you're drunk like I am, you're a dope fiend like I am, the solution is the same because basically we're the same. We're selfish and self-centered and we have lots of defects and pretty much our defects are the same too. And again, the book, man, the root of our troubles is selfishness and self-centeredness. That's the biggest problem. And if we can just get rid of a little of that, you know. So yeah, no, I don't know, man. I'm not fucking special. You know, I mean, you know, I can read and understand things. So can other people. You know, I have an aptitude for music. So do a lot of other people. You know, some people have, you know, like Chris. She can make art. I can't do that. You know, but we're all human beings. We're all basically the same. You know, nobody's fucking special. Smash that fucking ego.
And who was I saying to the one? I forget who I said that the one time when I said I know how to make a podcast. Somebody had
Right.
said some shit to me about whatever, but it was a friend of mine. Somebody, I can't remember who it
Yeah.
was. We were fucking around. I was fucking around with somebody. I'm like, yes, but
Mm-hmm.
I know how to make a podcast.
Right. Well, yeah. So does apparently everybody else.
I know, but that's why I said it, because I was just trying to whatever. But I can tell you one thing. Maybe it doesn't make you special. Maybe it doesn't make you unique, but it makes you useful to people in recovery. Is exactly what you just did. Okay, you took what this thing we do is and broke it down into a very simplistic 2 or 3 minutes that made fucking sense. So,
Yeah.
and you've done that to me and for me 4 fucking years. Not 4 years.
Right.
I mean 4 fucking ever, like for years.
Right.
So for all these, you have the way of simplifying things in. And that's what I was trying to think of, is trying to think of it. You know, I'm not special as an individual, but what can I do? Where is my, and again, I'll say quote unquote gift, or my place in this recovery thing. And that's one thing that you have. You have that ability to do that. And you know, I think the only thing that I could think of, even in a general sense, is just, I'm not afraid to talk to people, approach people. I mean, I'm very outgoing. I'm open for questions and that sort of thing. But that was the only thing. I don't know if that makes me special. It just makes me available.
Right.
You know,
right.
accessible.
Well, that's useful is the word you use that makes the absolute most sense. You know, Marty actually had posted something on Facebook this week that he had the guys from the house go and help with the marathon here in Cleveland, which he does, all the time. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. And I commented on it. I basically shot back something that he gave me a long time ago, was, you know, we get our self-worth from being worthwhile to other people.
Right.
Yeah. You know, if I'm useful to someone else, then I have some worth. Otherwise, I'm just a fucking piece of shit drunk who doesn't care about anybody else. Right. I have to have some worth to someone else. And if I have worth to someone else, then I'm worthwhile.
Right.
And if I have no worth to anyone else, I'm draining from everyone around me, then I have no fucking worth, man. And I don't want to live, and that was the way I lived my life for decades, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to have some worth to somebody else so that I have some worth.
Right. You are not less worth. You are not less. You are not less of worth.
Right.
But no, and I agree, and but that's the thing that in the once again, when I wrote that down, literally, that's why I put that in parentheses. I knew it would drive you fucking nuts trying to think of something. It was the same thing when I did it when I told you to pick your favorite step. that was one of the best ones, because I don't know, I'd love to replay that at some point, because you hemmed and hawed. You're like, and you took out the fucking first step, so I can't choose that one. And
right? The one I have to do perfectly, I got to choose from one of the other ones that I can't fucking do perfectly. Fuck.
Right. But I did that because we don't have a choice. We have to do that one, you know.
Right.
But it was just so funny, because then at the end you're like, fuck it, no, I can't choose one, and I won't. You're like, we have to do all of them, or they don't work.
Right.
That was so much fun. I mean, every once in a while I find these little things that I write down.
Well, there you go. I get to bring joy. Makes me fucking nuts, but I get to bring joy to somebody else. So there you go. It's worthwhile.
Right. You have worth to me because you make me laugh. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you're quite welcome.
So this was just one that I wrote down because this has nothing to do with recovery. But I was listening to the morning show, and this was God probably well over a month ago now. The morning show that I listened to in Milwaukee, they talk about old TV shows all the time. Clearly, I know you remember the show I Love Lucy. I don't know if some of our listeners will remember that. Oh, remind me of our listener base again in a second. But it's said that they were reading the statistic or it was an article or whatever. That show, and when was that? Late 60s or early 70s?
I Love Lucy?
Right.
Mid 50s.
Was it really that long ago? I thought it was 60s. Okay.
Nope.
So guess this. How much money do you think it was generating per year at that time?
At that time,
mm-hmm.
Probably not a whole hell of a lot. I don't know, $100,000 back then, maybe.
Okay, what it's generating, and I think they were talking about it's either now or then. They were talking about $20 million a year that it generates, and they're like, is that today dollars? Is that then? Is that now? I'm like,
it's probably. Yeah, it's probably consistently. I mean, it's still in reruns. It's still on TV. There's merchandise and all that shit. Yeah, it's perennial, man. I mean,
right.
You say people might not remember it, but I can't imagine anybody doesn't know I Love Lucy.
Well, and that's a good point. So maybe they were talking about 20 million a year, like to this day, but it was like one of those passing conversations that I wrote it down. I'm like, what, are you fucking kidding me? Because I'm just like, wow, okay. But yeah, that was just, again, it was random. I wrote it down because it just completely fucking blew my mind. But so that was the 50s. I don't know why I thought that was 60s, but damn.
I don't know.
Weird. Okay. So when you started hiding your drinking? Again, this came up on a podcast. And did it continue from there, or do you just depend on who you were around? So the first part of the question, when you started hiding drinking from anyone, and then did you always hide it from people, or did it just depend on who you were around?
I mean, I probably always sort of hid how much I drank, but I never hid the fact that I drank. I never did. I wasn't that delusional. I was pretty fucking delusional, but I wasn't that delusional. I mean, I drank, and a lot of times I didn't fucking care who knew. But there's certainly in relationships and stuff. My ex-wife comes to mind, and whatever. I wouldn't I wouldn't tell her how much I was drinking.
Right.
She knew I was drinking, and that was we lived together. But yeah, I know. I hear stories about people like oh yeah, I hid it. Well, did you? I'd go out to the garage and I'd take a big swig, and then I'd go back in and be with the family. I was never that way.
Right.
I had a beer in my hand pretty much all the time.
But so you were hiding from that sense, and I guess that was my fault for maybe not qualifying that. And I didn't think that you hid the fact that you drank, but quantity,
right,
or something like that, you would hide. Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was the same way. I mean, I never, like I said, I never tried to stop. I never tried to pretend that I wasn't drinking. But yeah, the volume, or like you said, being someplace, going someplace, not even when you're living with somebody, then you're trying to sneak around and take a couple fucking shots or an extra drink or whatever here or there. So yeah, quantity and volume. And I probably the first time it was ever brought up, and I think I'm sure it was when Pam and I were together, because I like her dad always, her dad's super cool. I mean, a really cool human being, and I respect the hell out of him. So, but he worked at a printing company, and he was a factory worker at a printing company, but a skilled factory worker, did very well, made a lot of money actually doing it, but worked his ass off. And on his way home from work every day, he'd stop at the bar every single day, and then probably come home and have a drink or something like that. And that's just what he did. And I remember even when Mom and Larry and stuff like that would have wine when they came home. So I think I was doing that when like Pam and I were together, and it's one of those things. The same thing as like when Pam and I, first got together, whatever the deal was, and then when Dawn and I were together, same deal. It's like everyone knew when the party was done and I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
and I never thought it was a big deal to come home and drink a handful of beers or whatever it was, and other people thought that might not be the best idea.
Right.
and that's when uh, that's when we start hiding it. It's not
Mm-hmm.
the right thing to do, but um, it's an unfortunate part of the story. But again, that came up as a question, I think, in one of the podcasts. I'm like, well, I knew that both of us at some point maybe didn't hide the fact that we were drinking, but certainly,
Mm-hmm.
the volume and, to that
Right.
extent, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, so nothing really jumped out specific. Just, yeah, you did it.
Yeah. We, again, not special, not unique.
Right. So here's the other thing that I heard this week. Was the term reverse the why. And I was like, because I'm all about, like the why behind things, I've always learned about it with, I enjoy hearing the why, but also like if I'm teaching somebody or somebody something, explaining the why behind it, it's easier to understand something, in my opinion, if I know why, which is the the reason I couldn't figure out why people kept relapsing, because I was looking for that magical
Right.
why. But anyhow, the way this was brought up was, like the reversing the why when people are feeling like drinking, and I didn't necessarily think this applied to us specifically. Because I mean, we've got ways of dealing with this, for you and I do, but maybe for other people who are listening. So, somebody's like, they're trying to get sober, maybe newly sober, like, I want to have fun, I should be drinking, or I'm stressed, or I'm sad, or I'm uncomfortable, or I just had a breakup. And basically what the mindset was is that, okay, so I want to have fun, and that's what I always did, was drink, but then trying to reverse that and saying, okay, I I can have more fun, and I won't be hungover, and I won't do this things or these things. And then same deal with, stressed or out of place or blah, blah, blah. And it was just a different way to look at it. It was rather to look at it, I need that, or I need booze to take care of this, rather than flipping it around the other way. Does that make sense? Anything what I'm saying, or does that, you get what I mean, or no?
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
at least you're honest.
Yeah. No, it's shit. I drank because I like the effect.
Right.
I drank because it made life easier until it didn't, and then at that point I couldn't stop. Yeah, shit, man. I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of that goddamn new age nonsense.
It was, and that's the thing. I knew that it wasn't something that. So if I'm stressed out, I mean, it's the, I look at it as the mindset of playing a tape through. That type of
Right.
concept. Whereas if somebody says, I need to relieve my stress, so I'm going to go out and drink. Whereas you and I would look at it, well, I'm fucking stressed out. Drinking's not going to help play the tape through. I'm going to go do something else, because drinking's only going to make it worse. Type of thing.
Well,
So that's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah, or sit there and be fucking stressed out for a little while, and guess what? It's going to go away. It's going to pass.
Right.
Always does. Yeah. Deal with it. Life on life's terms. Fuck, man. Yeah. Again, not all strawberries and orgasms. Sometimes shit sucks, but it's going to get better.
Yeah. And speaking of that, Heidi actually liked, she finally listened, she must have listened to the clip, because she liked the post, and she's like, something like fucking A right, or something like that on Instagram. I just thought it was pretty funny. But here's the funny part, though, in that whole conversation about this, and it was a younger person. One thing she did say that you say all the time, which I thought was really interesting, she goes, drinking or doing drugs or whatever the case is, she's like, it's not worth the 20 minutes of fun, or 20 minutes of feeling that I get from it. I'm like, hey, that's what you say all the time.
Yeah. The 20 minutes of relief is not going to fucking make life better.
Right.
Yeah, sit there for 10 minutes and feel like shit, and then move on.
Right. it was kind of funny because but I could understand the concept of what, again, when, people trying to say I need this, but then, flipping it around. But I was just, it was just kind of funny. I'm like, is that anything that makes sense? You're like, no, don't get it at all.
Nope. I mean, and if, again, like we always say, man, if it works for you, cool, but
Right.
not me.
Right.
No, that's just fucking easier, softer way bullshit. No,
Right.
No, thank you.
No, and I get it. It was just, but that's the other fun thing when it comes to you and I is that, the fact that you're just like, I don't fucking understand it. Don't know what you're talking about.
Nope.
I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get offended. I'm just gonna laugh and I'm gonna be like, okay, next topic. I can't have all award-winning topics on here. I mean,
I understand.
Most of them are. I mean, most of them are pretty fucking.
Oh yeah, right.
Amazing.
Goddamn gold medal shit there. It's gold, Jerry, gold.
So the and this popped into my head, and again, I don't know if it was from a podcast. Did you used to get up in the middle of the night to drink, or like get up and use the bathroom and then drink during the night, or did you ever get into like a phase like that at all, ever?
No. I mean, I've talked about it before, man. I was never a maintenance drinker. I never could be. Yeah. No, I fucking, if I started, I didn't stop until I was passed out or I ran out.
Right.
And that's just always was that way for me. I could never be a maintenance drinker. Did I come to in the middle of the night and start drinking again? You bet your ass I did. And I'd sit there and drink for another 3 hours and then pass back out again.
Right.
That I've done, but no, not just get up and take a shot and then go back to bed. No, that fucking beast was awakened, man. If I'm taking that shot, I'm taking the next one and the next one and the next one until I'm done.
And I completely forgot about that because I remember when I was re-listening to that episode, we were driving out. It was when we were driving out to when we had the band the last time we played poker. Whatever weekend that was, we recorded that episode in Cleveland because I remember literally where we were when I was re-listening to that, and the same thing as when we were having the conversation. That's weird because I think that was the first time that you and I had talked about that, and really when you and I talked about the difference between you and I with that part of it. Even though we ended up, and when I was doing the episode clips from last week, I did the 0.2 to 0.44. I don't know if you ever listened to it, but you're like, yeah, we both should have been fucking dead. But anyhow, so and I say the funny part, but the interesting part is we ended up in the same place. I mean, literally, with say the Keating Center, but also where we were. Abuse-wise, I guess, if you want to put it that way, the level,
mentally and spiritually, and yeah, fucking dead, right? Yep.
Dead, right? Fucking dead. Yep. But here's the thing: is that I never, I guess, when we had the conversation, I didn't realize how much of a maintenance drinker I was. But I was. I literally was, because remember, I told you the stories. The last place that I work, I'd drink in the morning. Then it was enough to keep me loaded, and then I'd start to fade off, and then I'd go home for lunch, and I'd load up again, and that'd get me through the rest of the day, and then to get home, and then this thing with the waking up at night, it was funny because the other note that I put on here is the fact that I actually would look forward to waking up, and then I'd go out. I go out in the garage. The last place I lived, to go out in the garage, and usually what I would do is at that time, and I wouldn't open up. I wouldn't drink an entire beer. That'd be fucking ridiculous, right? I can't drink a whole beer.
Sure,
being sarcastic, clearly. I used to have this little plastic cup. And it was from the Waukesha County Fair, which was just these plastic cups that you get probably beer in at times. But whatever, that's the cup I used to always drink my whiskey out of. It was classy. I was one of those guys.
Of course,
a white plastic cup with green lettering, green lettering. But anyhow, so
nothing says class like a county fair,
right. But I'd pour probably half a cup of that of whiskey, maybe a splash of Diet 7 Up or whatever, and I would go out in the garage and smoke a cigarette and drink that. almost every night, and rarely did I not wake up. And
Right.
it was one of those ones where I would actually look forward to it. It was ridiculous now that I think
Oh,
about it.
sure.
But I mean, that's probably why. Well, I mean, I did. I was still shaking in the morning because I couldn't get my contacts in. But so that would have
Mm-hmm.
been clearly part of the maintenance part of the or maintenance drinking.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right.
so but no, I mean little things like that. And I completely forgot about that until you just brought that up. I just never until we had that conversation. I just never realized how much of that's what I was. I was clearly a maintenance drinker. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I just
Yeah, I mean, and trust me, I would have loved to have been able to, you
right.
know, keep that going all fucking day long. You know, that would have been great, man. Yeah, keep that mild buzz going. Oh fuck yeah, that was kind of the goal. I could just never do it.
Right.
I
Yeah, it
could
was
never
just
stop.
and like I said, when you had said that, and seriously, I think that was the first time that you and I ever got into that deep of a conversation. You figure out out of all these fucking years
Hmm.
we've known each other, you know, but that was the first time that we had gotten into that deep of a conversation. So, how we look, damn, we still got time. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is probably one that you'll hate too, but it was
All right, bring it on,
well,
man.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But it said if you could go back and I don't know where I got this from. If you could go back 15 years and talk to yourself at that time, and it was brought up in the sign of or in the a recovery conversation. So, you know, knowing
Hmm.
that you and I got sober, even make it 20 years if you want to be, but figure you and I have
All
been
right.
sober for a little over 13 years. If you would have gone back 15, 17, pick a number, but back at that point when
Hmm.
you were, let's say, in your addiction or prior to, even if you wanted to, but is there
Hmm.
any could you think of anything that, or would you go back and say, or want to do anything different, or tell that person to do anything different, your past self?
Um, I mean, that's dangerous shit there, man. Um, that's dwelling on the past and trying to control the past. And no, everything that I am today is because of what I was. Yes, would I shit first time I tried to get sober when I was 30, so 13 years before I actually got sober. um if it had worked, if I would have worked it properly, yeah, I'm sure it would, my life would be even better because I'd have an extra 13 years of sobriety under my belt.
Right,
But I can't think that way.
right,
That's dangerous thinking. That subsequent 13 years or whatever. And there were times where I tried in between there. But all those experiences I have, if I use them properly, if I use them to help somebody else, if say I did get sober when I was 30 and some bullshit that I did when I was 38 helps somebody today that I wouldn't have done because I got sober.
right,
I wouldn't have that experience to be able to help somebody else. So I can't go back and change anything. All I can do is use my experience to help somebody else, and if as long as I do that, then I can't regret, and I sure as hell can't go back and change anything because it already happened. All we have is right now, man. So no, that's spinning your wheels for nothing.
right. Well, plus you can mess with the
Yep.
space time continuum.
Right, exactly. Hitler might be still alive if I did that. I
Right.
I don't know.
No, and here's a funny part. Now I remember what podcast it was from. It was from the one with the male and the female that one of our followers
Okay.
referred me to,
Hmm.
and I think that came up from, if I remember correctly, it was one of um, their followers on TikTok, something like that. And the
Hmm.
the one individual, he's like 8.5 years sober. The female is year and a half or 2 years, somewhere in that area.
Hmm.
And they were talking back and forth, and she had more of the mindset of, because she was, obviously still, well, newer, in recovery,
Hmm.
about,
Hmm.
kind of like almost like still wishing that I wish I would have caught on to this sooner. I'm still getting this
Sure.
beautiful life type of thing. Whereas he kind of said the mindset, and I was thinking the same thing of what you said, because so here's the deal that if I don't know, I mean, I same deal. I don't regret the things that I went through. I
Mm-hmm.
you look back and I'm like, okay, so certain choices did this and certain choices did that, and all those different things. It's not a regret, because I'm a true believer, and I think you and I are the same, that everything that we went through for whatever reason, we had to go through to
Mm-hmm.
get to where we
Mm-hmm.
are right now at this moment, speaking
Right.
these words at 9:01 real time in Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
Because you're the important one, so I figured I'd lay that one out there. Just fucking around, but because the other thing too is that and I didn't think about it like you just said, that if you would have got sober at that point, maybe you missed learning something
Mm-hmm.
here, and then now you miss helping
Right.
that person. And then
Right.
I could go back even as far as saying that if I went, like, let's say if I went back to, I don't know, when Pam and I were together, Kimmy's mom and I,
Mm-hmm.
or even in
Right.
between that time when I got my DUI, would have been a great opportunity in
Sure.
'95. Had I gotten sober at that point, I probably never would have met Dawn. There's no way I would have met Dawn.
Right. Yeah.
Because maybe I
Right.
would have ended up in the same job and things like that. But we met based on these outings that we did, because the company, the facility she works for, a hospital facility, they were clients of ours. We used to do these outings, go grab pizza, have drinks, play
Right.
pool. That's how I met her,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
then,
Yeah.
that's how my son came along.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, there would be no Derek.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So it was and that's why I said you'd probably hate it. But you know what? I mean, your response was far different than I thought it would be, because you looked at, first of all,
Mm.
dangerous shit that made me think of the space time continuum.
Right.
Fucking Marty McFly over there.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, I think you put it wonderfully like that. It's just that these experiences. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, everything that we've accumulated as far as experiences help us and put us where we are today.
Mm-hmm.
And who,
Right.
who who fucking knows? Who knows?
I mean, yeah, of course I would have not, I would like to have not caused as much pain as I did, but again, it's futile to dwell on that shit because it happened.
Right.
There's nothing I can do to change it. All I can do is be a better person today.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we'd even talked about too plenty of times that it's a horrible, and every time I think about this, it just makes me shake my head, but it's the absolute fucking truth. Um, my dad had to die in order for me to get sober. I mean, he didn't have to
Mm-hmm.
die.
Right.
Nobody walked up and said, well, maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe he had some fucking deal with the
Yeah.
devil. But a better way to put it is, his death is what caused me to lose my fucking mind,
Right.
and become more of a raging alcoholic. I was a dumpster fire, and then somebody put kerosene on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I seriously, I can't think of a thing, nothing. Even my son that I love to death, of course, and my
Mm-hmm.
sister and our mom and all that. There's nothing else in my life that I don't think could have motivated me to get sober.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's
but again, the futile thoughts because you don't know.
right.
I mean, something else might have happened, and your dad would have still been around, and again, ifs and buts were candies and nuts. Oh, what a party we'd have!
Right. But that's a thing, because I mean, every once in a while, and I plenty of people have brought it up. They're like, wouldn't that be kind of cool if your dad was around? I'm like, yeah, if he was around, I probably
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have gotten sober,
Yeah,
but it would
right.
have been. But no, it's not. And again, it's not a regret. It's just one of those, things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But yeah, you had a little bit of a different answer than I had thought. I thought it was just going to be like a it's just like, I don't
No.
know, fucking know.
No, I do actually think about these things occasionally, but yeah, but not for too long because it's fucking stupid. I got better things to do. I had to mow my lawn today.
Right.
Yep.
Cool. All
I
right.
had to make my yard look good so my lovely neighbors across the street have something nice to look at.
Well, it was funny to begin with. I was thinking that we might get done working by 3, and then I'm thinking 3:30 or 4, because I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
about cutting Kathy's grass, because I mean, I'm leaving tomorrow, and
Right.
that's one of the things I try to do all the time. Um, And then I'm like, yeah, maybe 4. I'd be cutting it, but I think I could. And then I didn't. I'm cutting it close as far as timing wise. But then after all said and done, I didn't even really get done wrapping up at work until a little after 5. So I'm like, that ain't gonna get done.
Right.
So it is what it is. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anything else? I mean, I've got probably other little things on here, but nothing of any substance. I don't think so.
Yeah. I think we've covered a few things tonight.
Right. I think we've
today, whenever it is you're listening to this thing.
Well, we've covered them tonight. They will be listening to it tomorrow, which as of tomorrow, it'll be today.
Right.
That could be a whole nother conversation. Not today, man.
Oh yeah.
Not today.
Not today.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I'm going to be in Cleveland tomorrow, and then we're going to go get our sober on this entire weekend, and it'll be fun.
We are. Absolutely.
So yeah, well, it's
absolutely.
It is your time.
All right, isn't it our time, Mr. Hand?
Nothing wrong with a little bit of fuck off on our time.
Fucking off, learning about Cuba.
Right.
Right. All right. Well, on that note, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. So always be good to each other, be kind to each other, do something nice for somebody else this week. If you liked what you heard here, share it, give us a nice rating, do something, buy us a cup of coffee, buy yourself a cup of coffee. And now it is time. It is that time. Are you ready? It's time for you to fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate, dream the impossible dream, and keep fucking off forever.
So when you were saying it's that time, you know it's that time, were you trying to pull that up on your phone?
No, I had it up.
Oh, you did? Okay. I thought that sounded...
Yeah, I know what I was doing. Jesus Christ, mellow out.
No, it's cool. It sounded like... I'm like, is that a lead-in or is that a stall? Either way, it sounded lovely.
Yeah, well, I was, just trying to do something, man.
just trying to learn about Cuba, man.
That's right. Having some food, learning about Cuba, fucking off.
Right. It's one of those things, I get so used to how you do things. When I hear something different, it kind of like, I'm like, what's going on there?
Made you pay attention, didn't it?
Yeah.
Made the listener pay attention too.
It probably did. Suckers.
All right, now you can stop paying attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, I love you too, brother. And everyone, have a happy and safe weekend. And remember what the weekend's about too, right? We always say that.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, buy a mattress.
Right. All right. I will talk to you later.
Dick. Bye.
Bye. As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, SoberNotMature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.